Is there sound now by chance? Is there sound now? Is there sound now? Is there sound now by chance? Wow. Is there sound now? Okay. So, there is. So here's the basic gist, is that after last week, I went out and I purchased a new camera. I've been doing everything that I'm supposed to. Let me see here something, because okay, hold on one second. I'm sorry about this. You know, I'm still trying to get this down. I will get it. I will get it. And all this is going to be cool. Okay. So anyway, can you hear me now? Oh my goodness. It's supposed to be easier than this. Can you see it now? You can hear me. Seems okay now. So I just added another microphone. I had everything working. I was trying to get rid of a latency. Silly me. So I'm going to start over again. And as they say, there are no coincidences. Everything is an omen. So what I mean by that is that when we read the tarot, I always say this, and I'll just reiterate, especially for new people, it's not just the cards laying down. It's the person walking in. It's their reactions. It's things that happen up to that moment, because the tarot is going to reflect all of that. So this is a good example, because I've got over 600 videos, and I have people on here who visit with me every morning, and the videos come off fine. So I what is this, my third one now? I've had an issue each time. So what are we going to do? We're going to just learn from it. We're going to laugh, because it's not a coincidence. Everything happens the way it's supposed to. So, with that, again, welcome to the MyTarot. Look at this. I'm still a little bit red. MyTarot Tuesday Talk. Tuesday Tarot Talk. So, and this is to teach me humility. So the basic gist is, great. I've been doing classes. People asked if we could do like a wrap up afterwards and things like that. I've done videos. I did a whole video series where every Wednesday, me and somebody else would come on. We talked for an hour. So I love doing that. So I wanted to be able to share with people again, because I enjoy doing that. So I did go out and I did buy a new camera, because the last time that I was doing this, what happened? Every time I tried to show something, everything was blurry and didn't work. And so now I have a new camera for everybody so that I can actually do this. And it comes back into focus, so I'm not fighting that. Why I'm having issues with my microphone? The universe says I talk too much. I think that's what it is. It's the universe dropping that hint. So, But what I wanted to do today was exactly what I posted on there, which is talking about omens and coincidences. But first, I'm thinking about starting on my channel also side trips, MyTarot.org side trips, because I also collect Ouija boards. And it seems like a lot of people on the channel are fascinated by this as much as I might be. So I've got one of the largest Ouija board collections, I guess you would say, in the world. We literally have 140 Ouija boards, I lost count, hanging on our walls, going all the way back from 1900 and up. And so I thought I would share with you, before we go into all the tarot stuff, some of the new finds that I have. So it's not just the boards, and it's just not tarot. See, I love tarot history. When I teach tarot, I talk history. We're going to even touch tarot history today. But is anybody here interested in some of the new cool stuff that I got that's Ouija board related? Because keep in mind, Ouija boards, until The Exorcist, people used to want to be able to contact, talk to the universe in a different way other than tarot. Some people see tarot as, this, you shouldn't be messing with things like that. So I don't actually use the Ouija board per se, other than for fun with groups of people and stuff. So this week, anybody else? Somebody say yes, do it. You want to see what I got this week? It's not even board related. So this week, I got a few cool things. Actually, this came 2 weeks ago. This one right here. So I have a board that is reputed to be owned by Helen Duncan. Was wondering if my tarot. Oh, if my wife is into tarot as well. She buys me all my cards. So she was the one, I already had a Ouija board before I met her, but she was into Ouija boards. I got into tarot. She was also into tarot. So she is so wonderful and amazing. She just sits there and she sees a deck. That's why I got this one. I talked about this last time, the Unveiled Tarot. I have a hard time spending money on things. So she buys me tarot cards, and I buy her the Ouija board stuff. And so, because we both really enjoy it, but, she's the Ouija board person. I'm the history person. And so, I have this board reputed to be owned by the last woman who was convicted of witchcraft in England. Her name is Helen Duncan. And so I've actually done research on it, because how it came from Helen Duncan, it went to this countess in England. And this countess in England supposedly have written this letter. And the letter looks old. It's dated 1956. And then Sybil Leek, who was a psychic in the 80s on TV with Raymond Buckland and these people. So she got the board. So there's a whole history to it, and I've been researching it. So what I have here, so I have Helen Duncan's board over there. And I've got an article here. Medium weeps from 1944. It's Medium weeps at guilty verdict on 4. So humbug, says police. So witchcraft jury declined seance offer. So it's an article about Helen Duncan when she got convicted. That's going to go with my Ouija board up there. So, and I'm going to frame that. So what else did I get this week? So, since, let's see here. Let's look at the 1960s now. So, here we go. So see how this looks like, it's an advertisement from Parker Brothers. We have Risk. We have Reading Railroad for Monopoly. We have Waterworks for Sorry. And look at Boardwalk Place. So this is the early 1960s. So if you've already got Monopoly, exploring the fun is unknown. Exploring the unknown is fun. Whoa. So that's another cool thing I got. And those are going to go into the wall. It's all part of the exhibition. So the next cool thing is this. So since it was Valentine's Day, I wanted to get something for my sweetie. So here we have this. Oh, witchy Ouija, tell a feller, what keeps daddy in the cellar? 40 trips a day would seem, it's quite enough to get up steam. And this is postmarked 1925. So that's so I gave that to her for Valentine's Day because it is a sweet little picture. Kind of. Look at that grumpy look. And here is the pièce de la résistance. So I have here a picture from a photo album, and it's got this couple in it all through it and things like that. But look at this. Look at how happy they look. That is a happy couple right there. This is not like the scary exorcist couple at all. So, that's one of those rare things that I love finding those things like that. So I have people looking out for stuff. I have friends who we swap stuff and things like that. So if you find anything Ouija board related, and I adopt Ouija boards also. There was somebody who contacted Laloon Metaphysical, and I'm doing my readings up there, and they're like, we have a Ouija board that we bought, and it served its purpose, and now I think it wants to go away. So he's like, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take it, sure. And I say, tell you what, bring it in and I'll give you a reading. So I collect those things. And if you happen to hear of something or you ever have any questions dealing with that, I am here for you. So are we going to talk tarot or what? Well, I had mentioned before that I am looking to put together a book. And I'd started on it. And I have to say that Jenna Soulwriter has been an inspiration for this because she is an author and she does a lot of stuff with the, she has a lot of stuff going on her channel about writing. So, I need that inspiration and she is kind of that inspiration. So what I want to do is when I'm talking about the tarot, I'm often talking about things as far as intuition, what it means when we read the tarot. You'll hear me all the time talk about how I might have already covered this when I before I found out that the microphone wasn't working. But I often teach that there are no omens, there are no coincidences. Tarot doesn't start when you sit down and deal the cards. It's before that. It's what happens when somebody walks in, how they're feeling, whether they're clenched up, things like that. Everything is important, even on your drive. So I'll tell you what kind of gave me the impetus for this is that so when we meditate, when we do a tarot meditation, when we do things where we're getting centered, we're trying to listen to the universe. A lot of times, people are starting out and they'll lay out their tarot cards and they'll do their meditation. They might even write. And if they're like me, they'll forget about it. And it doesn't come up again. So I started doing the conscious thing of how can I apply this to my life? And the example came up just the other day where I did a reading. The tower was there. And, there's always something positive in the readings. The cards, there's always something to learn. So I did the reading. It was all about learning. I don't remember exactly what it was about. But afterwards, it's, 7:30 in the morning. I finish things up. I go to make my eggs. Now, I am a master of making eggs. What's this got to do with tarot, right? So when I went to put the eggs onto my plate, I dropped it on the burner. I'm like, okay. I know this sounds silly, but follow me here for a second. I said, okay. So next I went ahead and I'm like, all right, I'm going to make another egg. So I go and I make another egg and the yolk breaks. And I tell you what, I am really good at making eggs. So the yolk breaks. Got it. Okay. When that happened, I realized that I was rushing around. I realized that, that's what the difference is. And I'm sitting there thinking about the reading for the day. And so literally, I ate the breakfast, but I'm also like, I just did my meditation pose and got comfortable. And I'm like, okay, how did that reading apply to my morning? And how did the advice card and the advice from the tarot apply for the rest of my day? And it makes a difference. Tarot is about connections. Tarot is about correspondences. When we read that, a correspondence is just a real world situation that applies to the analogy of the deck. A card represents something in the real world. The question is what and how do we see it? Is that an omen? An omen is when we see a sign and can apply it to the real world. I just came up with that definition. I need to write that down, but it's true. It's when we see a sign and can apply it to the real world. And when I say that there are no coincidences, is because things happen in a particular order. And I believe that that order is not just coincidental. Things happen that way. So that is the basic gist of what I wanted to talk about today. And to do that, I wanted to kind of go through part of the book that I'm writing and just kind of break down some of the stuff and about how we develop our intuition. And this isn't just for tarot. This is about developing our intuition also for just day-to-day things. Because again, when we learn a tool, the question is, how can we apply that tool to other aspects of our lives? For me, the tarot led to meditation, which led to trying to see things with clarity. We learn how to, we get a hammer, we learn how to use that tool, and then we also find that we can use that hammer for many other things, whether it's banging out a dent or, whatever else it is. Screwdriver isn't just for screwing, it's for prying. So when we learn the tarot, it's about actually being able to apply these things and other tools to our lives. And so when I start this, when I start one of my classes on intuitions, I talk about the importance of tarot books. Tarot books are amazing, wonderful tools. When we start reading the tarot books or the little white, I'm sitting there looking for my box. I've got a box of all these little white, the little white books. And the whole thing is that tarot books are guiding us through like a labyrinth of symbols, the meanings, the spread. They introduce the majors, they introduce the minors, and all the things like that. They give us our groundwork, things like that. But the other thing is that when we're reading tarot books, they also give us all this stuff about astrology and Kabbalah. And this is a really good book. But if you pick it up and it's the first thing that you do, they're going to start talking about all the colors and they're going to start talking about astrological associations and some of them, or worse yet, you just go by the little white book. And here's the big version of the little white book. This is the pictorial key written by the guy who wrote the little white book. And if you ever read some of this stuff, you know, you would go nuts because it's very flowery and it doesn't really help with reading. So, in the classes that I give, it's about what I call it what the fool sees. We look at the cards and we ask, what does the fool see? Not what the books say, and I covered that. So sometimes people ask, well, how do we do this? How do we turn off our brain because we're so tuned to like not trusting, not feeling, not trusting and not feeling. I see a card, and I always say this also, you know, there's what the card says and there's what the book says. So when I talk about in what I've written, I talk about how we go beyond what the books say. So, as I put in here, yet as we tread deeper, we encounter a crossroad. The fool, the eternal wanderer, whisperer, looks beyond the inked page. So we step away from the book in defiance, but in search of something more. Why we move beyond the tarot books. And I've actually been researching this. And the basic gist is that the human brain is a complex organ that processes information in many ways. One of these ways is through a nonverbal communication, which includes things like body language, facial expression, and intuition. The nonverbal side of our brain is always active and aware of our surroundings, even when we're not consciously thinking about it. In the context of tarot reading, this nonverbal side of our brain plays a crucial role. When we're reading tarot cards, we're not just looking at the images on the cards. We're also tapping into our intuition, our gut feelings, and our subconscious awareness of the world around us. This is the nonverbal side of our brain at work. So our intuition or our gut feeling, it's often our brain's way of telling us something important. It's our warning system. It's alerting us to the potential dangers of an opportunity. When we're reading tarot cards, we're learning to trust this intuition, to listen to what our nonverbal side is trying to tell us. So in simple terms, tarot reading is a practice that involves using our intuition and nonverbal awareness to interpret the symbols on the cards and find meanings in them. It's trusting our gut feelings and using them to guide our understanding of the cards. This can help us gain insights into our lives, make decisions, and understanding our feelings and experiences. So, again, just to emphasize, and I go into it a little bit more, but when I'm doing the classes, to see the light bulb go off in people's heads when I give them permission, when the universe gives them permission to not use the book, and they start seeing the pictures for what they are. And you can look at some of my other videos I have on reading the tarot using the pictures and not the words. But it's kind of a light that goes off and it kind of starts to trigger our intuition. So I want to give the example of this. It's an example of how we're told to think instead of trusting what we see, trusting what we feel, trusting what we think. We're told what to think instead of trusting what we think. So I like to use the example of the Emperor's New Clothes. So if you can just hold with me here for a second and indulge me, I'm going to explain this story, especially for there might be people who are not familiar with the story of the Emperor's New Clothes, but just a short version of it. Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, there lived an emperor who was obsessed with his appearance. His royal wardrobe was the talk of the land. He spent fortunes on exquisite fabrics and elaborate garments. The emperor's vanity knew no bounds, and he reveled in the admiration of his subjects. One day, two cunning weavers arrived at the palace. They claimed to possess magical skills that could weave the finest fabric in the world, so delicate and so ethereal that it was invisible to anyone who was unfit for their position or hopelessly stupid. Again, it was so delicate and ethereal. I'm just reiterating here for you. Delicate and ethereal that it was invisible to anyone who was unfit for their position or hopelessly stupid. That's our self-esteem. So the emperor, intrigued by this promise, commissioned them to create a suit of clothes that would be truly extraordinary. The weavers pretended to work tirelessly, their looms empty, but they spoke of the exquisite threads they were using, the threads that only the wise and discerning could perceive. And then word spread throughout the kingdom, and soon everyone was buzzing about the emperor's magnificent new attire. The courtiers, the ministers, and even the common folk pretended to see the fabric, afraid to admit their supposed stupidity. The emperor himself, eager to prove his wisdom, paraded through the streets wearing nothing but thin air. So here's where our fool enters. He's a wanderer, unburdened by pretense or social norms. As the parade passed by, the fool tilted his head, squinting at the emperor, scratched his chin, and was puzzled by the sight. For the fool saw no shimmering silk, no golden embroidery. Instead, he saw a naked man strutting down the road, shivering in the breeze. So the fool leaned over to the person next to him, a child with wide eyes, and whispered, "Why is the emperor parading around in his underclothes?" And the child giggled and replied, "Because he believes he's wearing the most magnificent outfit ever made." And the fool chuckled, "Oh, the emperor's new clothes, but I see nothing. Perhaps I am hopelessly stupid." And the child's laughter grew louder, said, "No, you're not stupid. You're the only one who can see the truth." And so the fool continued on his way, unimpressed by illusions and unswayed by collective delusions. He didn't need magical threads to perceive reality. His innocence allowed him to see beyond the facade, beyond the emperor's pride and the courtier's flattery. So, and I go on here. Now let's apply this to tarot reading. Just as the fool questioned the emperor's attire, we too must question the conventional interpretations when we draw a card. And so the basic gist is, when I teach, is what the fool sees. And then, then I go on in there. And I talk about the fool's clarity. And so who is the fool? We're the fool. We want to be the fool. We want to be able to see things with the clarity and the unfiltered gaze of the fool. So the fool's clarity, like the child who laughed, the fool sees what's real. He doesn't get lost in elaborate explanations or rigid meanings. So when we get the books, are we the fool if we say, but I don't feel, the book says this, so I don't trust my feelings. I don't trust the clarity of what I'm seeing. And so the fool gazes at the cards, wide eyes, unencumbered by definitions. He sees not just a magician's tools, but the magic itself, the spark between worlds. Intuition blooms when we release rigid meanings. The fool's question is, what do we really see? And then the invisible threads, the emperor's new clothes, the threads woven by the weavers of tradition. And again, this book is 1904, 19 whatever. And this book here is, the 2000s or whatever. It's a tradition. But remember, the tarot's from the 1500s. So the emperor's new clothes, the threads worn by the weavers of tradition, but the fool, he saw the naked truth. Just as the emperor's clothes were invisible, some tarot truths lie beyond the obvious. And so we need to trust our intuition and not be afraid to say, I see nothing. So when I say I see nothing, it's just a story that I brought up more than once because it had a big impact on me. And it's one time when I was doing a reading, I didn't understand. It's just, there was all these cards all over the place, court cards, this and that, and this and that, and I couldn't make my story. And you watch my 600 videos, I generally can find a story for everything. And I just looked at this person. I said, I'm looking at this, but I'm sorry. It just doesn't make sense. And their light went off in their head. They're like, that's exactly how I feel. So the connection was there with the tarot. I just needed to be honest and say, I just don't see it. I don't understand what's going on here. And it's because that was the energy they were giving. So an authentic interpretation, the fool's authenticity guides us. When faced with a card, ask, what do I truly see? Let go of preconceptions. The tarot transcends logic. It's not a math problem. It's a cosmic dance. And then the leap of insight. We leap into the unknown like the fool off the cliff. Interpret intuitively, even if it defies tradition. So, that's one of those emphases. And again, I cover that in so many videos where I talk about understanding the cards, understanding it through the history of what it actually means. But me, I am a skeptical person. I believe in science. I believe in medicine. I believe in all these wonderful things. I get vaccinated, so I know that's a thing for people, but I want people to be safe, and I don't want children to get polio. Don't hold that against me, please. So when I started exploring, I started looking for ways that the tarot can work with us. And so I'm adding a part that talks about unlocking the hidden patterns in tarot spreads. And I go on like this. So I say, in the realm of human cognition, our brains are ceaseless pattern-seeking machines. Whether we consciously acknowledge it or not, our minds perpetually strive to make sense of the world around us. This innate tendency is beautifully encapsulated by the phenomenon known as pareidolia, the propensity to perceive meaningful patterns or familiar shapes in random stimuli. So, pareidolia, finding patterns, seeing patterns. Now, I don't know if this ties into it, but I'm just going to say this weekend I was listening to a podcast called The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. And there is a condition, I forgot what it's called, but have you ever walked into a room and totally forgot why you even walked in there? And they were talking about that. And Mina was walking up the stairs, walked into the room here, and she's like, I can't even remember what I was thinking. What was I coming up here to get? And I remembered the podcast, and so I applied the test. I said, go back down to wherever you were, go in there, and then come back up and see what happens. And she went down to the kitchen, and I'll be damned if she didn't come up. And she's like, oh, now I remember. So what they had discussed was a study about how through evolution, there are different environments that we're in. We may be in a cave, walking out of a cave. We may be in a forest area, walking into a clearing. And so each location has its own dangers. If you're in the forest, a wildcat may hop on, may lunge at you. But when you walk into a field, then all of a sudden there might be a lion. There might be a lion in the field. There might be, a buffalo, a rhino, or something that might come chase you. But each environment has its own quirks, its own dangers. So it seems like we've evolved so that once we walk out of one room our memory doesn't need that information anymore, and it drops it so that we can look for the next environment and the dangers that are there, the things that we need to know. So literally, she said, I forgot. I said, try going back and then coming back. And we've heard that, and it's true. She remembered. So that's where I'm saying it's like we need to understand our minds. Pareidolia is one of those things that evolution taught us to find patterns, to look for patterns. So I go in here and I talk about things like, imagine standing on the edge of a tranquil lake surrounded by ancient forest and towering mountains. Suddenly the wind picks up, rustling leaves and unsettling the stillness. Simultaneously, the forest falls eerily silent, a stark departure from the usual symphony of life. What does this atmospheric shift signify? That's when our primal instincts kick in. Storm. The wind whispers secrets, and the hushed forest conceals danger. So that's us again. We would call that an omen. So augurs would, kill chickens, read this and that, but they would be feeling, they would sense the quietness of the lake and the fact that the animals might not be as noisy because the animals instinctually know something is coming. That's not, I didn't go that elaborate, but that's what the emphasis is here. So tarot cards is a canvas of symbolic patterns. So we're looking for patterns like that. The hushed atmosphere, the what are the animals doing? Our brains pick this up and it knows. And then we call it instinct. The calm before the storm, yes. So with the tarot spreads, it mirrors the dance of elements. Consider a scenario. You draw a card symbolizing new beginnings. Oh, look at that. We've got the Ace of Cups. Okay, so consider a scenario. You draw the card symbolizing new beginnings, only to be followed by the Tower of Destruction. No, I actually say just the tower struck by lightning, but Hollywood call this the Tower of Destruction. So here we are. So, what does the juxtaposition reveal? Well, we delve deeper, asking a question. Are you embarking on a new project? And then we can ask what pitfalls lie ahead. How can you avert disaster? The cards become our cryptic guides, urging us to explore the possibilities and anticipated outcomes. Yeah. So if we can see it, if this triggers something, because now we're going to start looking for patterns in our real life. I'm going to ask, what are you starting? And what are you not prepared for? So then I go into our intuition unleashed and trusting our subconscious. So intuitive reading transcends rigid scripts. It thrives when we shed filters and embrace authenticity. Imagine a seasoned tarot reader, their intuition finely tuned, their mind uncluttered. They don't second guess, they trust whispers of their subconscious. This is where true insight arises. So I'm not saying that's me. I have met seasoned tarot readers who are really good, and it seems like magic. And so, but they're guided by their instincts. We dance to patterns guided by instincts as ancient as time itself. Because we have these instincts and they're honed through evolution. We're just applying it. So, and again, that's not in there, but it goes on. Time itself. What happens when our intuition is unleashed and we start to navigate the nonverbal universe? As intuitive readers, we embark on a fascinating journey, one that bridges the gap between the seen and the unseen. Ooh. Think about that. Our intuition literally does bridge a gap between the seen and the unseen. Did I write that? That's pretty good. Man, I need to write a book. I haven't looked at this in a while because I'm lazy, Jenna, and I have not gone back to writing. So translate nonverbal, we embark on a fascinating journey, one that bridges the gap between the seen and the unseen. Our mission, to translate the cryptic language of the nonverbal universe into something tangible, relatable, and meaningful to others. It's listening to the whispers of intuition. So, then I go into the difference between not lazy. Thank you, Jenna. That makes me feel better. Yes. Okay. Jenna just said, wears so many hats. Yes. I do keep my life busy. I love my life. I do. But it really is super busy. So instinct versus intuition. Let's dissect this intricate dance. Instinct, the primal, pre-programmed response, courses through our veins. It's the survival code etched into our DNA, from the tiniest single-cell organism to the grandeur of humanity. Instinct drives us to eat, procreate, and adapt. And then there's intuition, which is a subtler force. It's not a lightning bolt or a grand revelation. Instead, it's the quiet knowing that permeates our existence. Picture yourself in this very moment. Senses alert, mind absorbing stimuli from every angle. Intuition is the culmination of these inputs, filtered through the sieve of our life experiences. The symphony of senses. Our senses become instruments in this symphony. Sight, sound, taste, touch, they all contribute to the orchestra of intuition. We perceive patterns. We anticipate outcomes. We grasp the unknown. It's as if the universe whispers its secrets, but we need to listen with an open heart. And then the continual flow. Intuition is not a static entity. It flows like a river. It's the nudge that prompts us to take the leap, to trust the next right step. When doubt clouds our path, intuition clears the fog. It's the compass that guides us through life's labyrinth. So, this is kind of my philosophy that I've distilled into a few pages, a few edited pages here. There was more examples and things like that that I didn't go into. But yeah, so that's kind of how, as I like to say, I like to think of myself as a skeptic and a somebody who tries to see reality for what it is. Part of seeing reality is trusting my instincts. Sometimes my instincts will say, don't trust this, don't trust that. Thank you, Holly. Sometimes you have to question the doctor, because you can give the symptoms and you can say, but maybe the doctor is not really catching what you're saying. So I'm not saying that we just blindly trust people in authority or people who have degrees, but they're the ones that are keeping us alive, with cures from cancer and stuff. So my instincts say, if you're able to wipe out polio almost the entire country, I'm going to trust you. My instincts will also say, can I trust this person? Can I not trust this person? My instincts, when I pull the moon card, my instincts ask me, if I'm walking through the woods and it's twilight, and I see something over there, and I question, is that a log? Or is that something that's going to lunge out at me? My intuition is going to say, that's a log. I sense it. It's not moving. That is a log. That's not going to alleviate my fears, though, is it? No. That's where strength comes in. My intuition tells me I can continue on my journey. I can take this new job. I can move forward with this relationship. I can do what I need to do. Even though instinctually, I want to say that's not just a log, and it's going to lunge out at me. Instinctually, my need to survive is going to tell me that's a log. Intuitively, that nonverbal side that doesn't have a voice, or sometimes it can break through, but it's going to say, no, you just need to be brave enough to keep going. So, it is now 6:51. And does anybody have any questions or thoughts about this? I was going to try and do Skype, but I went ahead and I bought the new camera. Somehow or another, I messed up with the microphone here just 5 minutes before everything started because I was trying to fix something, which was dumb to do. But I've got this new cool camera. And I want to start doing more videos and more live stuff. So you're going to see more of that stuff. Especially, I have people that want to do that stuff with me. So, any questions, any thoughts, any ideas? Although, Holly, thank you, though. I hope my book... I hope I can actually finish writing it because I think it's going to be cool. I think it's going to be different from all the other books that are out there. Otherwise, let me see. Have I got any new cool decks or anything? I got so many cool decks now. Where are you at? Okay, so one thing somebody asked about is we were talking about gothy decks. Like I say, I don't pull these out much, but... I have this Russian deck. Focus on... Okay. Yeah, so... Hey, Mike, is it a wolf or a dog? It's a shadow or is it a log? You're such a poet. Focus on the positive. And that's really funny, Maria, because here I am and I'm pulling out, because somebody was asking about other decks I use for shadow reading. And I had mentioned this deck. So this is the non-bootleg version. It's still difficult to get, but never buy bootlegs. Try not to buy any bootlegs. I'm putting this up here so you can actually scan the barcode maybe. Oh, Michael, I got a new camera. So HEPHOETAPO. Russian. Da. So this one here is one of the more darker decks, but it really, talk about triggering things. So the characters are like this. The whole thing is like black and red. And so when we're doing shadow reading, there are people that really love this. I mean, you know, some people just want, they want something that's going to be more triggery. And like I say, the goth kids, oh man, I pull this deck out and they're all like, they're all into this. So that's the name of this deck. But some of the cards are just really evocative. And it really, to me, it really just, this whole subconscious thing that's going on here is really powerful. So... So that's the deck to answer that question. Yay, boo on counterfeit decks. So Michael, who is on here, Michael, I think that next week, when are we going to get, okay, we all need to get a copy of Michael's deck. So I put that on my Facebook page. I need to add that to MyTarot.org. But you can go to Artie Forever. So Michael's deck is coming out soon. Michael, we need to talk about that deck, don't we? So, speaking of never buy counterfeit decks, Michael Auger at Artie Forever. His deck is going to be amazing, and I can't wait to read with it. Right? Right? Michael, I think your deck is going to be above average. So, with that, then I am going to go ahead and start signing off here. I hope people enjoyed themselves. I hope people are liking this. And if so, then I've been getting some... People have actually been messaging me, which is one of the reasons why I chose this topic, because we were talking about that, about using our intuition as opposed to the books and things like that. So I am collecting topics. So, and I do want to do the Skype. I think that'll be really cool when we can just kind of talk back and forth. And what we'll do is we're going to have to assign subscriber levels, so that, because if I just let everybody talk, people that we don't know, then it might go kind of nuts. But people that I know that come regularly, again, if we do subscriber levels and things like that. So that's it from me, unless somebody has something else. And I guess there's like a 6-second lag. 5, 4, 3, 3, 3. With that. Oh, Michael, you just need to come over. We were going to have you over this weekend, weren't we? What were we doing? Yeah, you got to see the whole new setup, man. Maybe I'll show my new setup to people next Tuesday for the video and things like that. I've got these cool little wireless mic things. So anyway, thank you all again very much. Take care. I'm going to go downstairs and see how the girl of my dreams is doing and finish making dinner for her. And I will see people tomorrow, 7:15. And I'll try and have my microphone fixed and working. So with that, take care and thanks again.